You've decided on a route. You've possibly even booked your flights, even your first night's accommodation. So what do you need to do next? Hi everybody, I'm Peter and I'm an expat Kiwi. Well, let's get straight into it. Number 1, footwear. The sooner you get your footwear dialed in, the better. And by footwear, I'm not just talking your shoes, I'm talking your shoe-sock combination. You might find the perfect shoes on day 1, but you're still having issues. Can't figure out the right sock combination or the right footwear regime. This is the time to look at that. Sooner you get that dealt with, the better off you're going to be. Because remember, your feet are carrying you the entire Camino. Priority number 2, your backpack. Finding a good backpack can also take a little while. It's nowhere near as important as your shoes are, but nonetheless, it's still something that's right up there. You might be in a position to borrow one. If you can take it out for a few training trips, make sure that it works for you, that it's fitted properly, etc. It's one less thing to worry about, right? If, on the other hand, you need to buy one, you don't need to buy it straight away, but get out there, research them, find out what works for you, and then it puts you in the position to look out for any sales that come along. Because let's face it, if you've got 6 months, somebody's going to have a sale, right? Fitness and training. Why do I have fitness and training? You may already be super fit, but I still encourage you to do at least a modicum of training just to ensure that you've got everything dialed in properly. Why am I pushing this? Very simply, I met a guy who did ultra marathons on the Primitivo. He was well out there. However, day 3, day 4, he was really struggling. Why? Because he'd not trained with his gear before. He didn't have everything dialed in properly. His backpack wasn't fitted properly. He's quite simply wasn't used to carrying a 7-8 kilo backpack day after day after day. If he'd done even just a little bit of training, he would have been a whole lot better off. If you're completely unfit, then it would benefit you to do at least some walking, some training prior to leaving, just ensuring, as I've already said, that you've got everything dialed in. Number 4, gear. What do I mean by gear? Well, the packing list video will show you all. Basically, it's everything else that you're carrying. Why is that important at this point in time? Just like with your pack, if you actually look for it early on, you can be in the position where you can go through your wardrobe, for example, and go, do I want to take this or do I have to buy something? If you need to buy something, can you go and buy it secondhand, for example, or borrow it even? Or do you want to have time to look for it in the sales? Poles are, of course, part of your gear list. If you want to take poles, make sure you do know how to use them properly. I haven't done a training video on poles, but I have linked to one that I find particularly useful. So if you want to take poles with you, please make sure that you know how to use them properly. They should be carrying you, not you carrying them. Number 5, health insurance, or more importantly, travel insurance. If you're traveling from outside the EU, you obviously need to get travel insurance because if something goes wrong, you want to be covered. People break things and get seriously sick every year. In fact, some people even die. If you're a European, then I would just encourage you to get repatriation insurance. That basically means that should you get seriously ill or unfortunately die whilst you're on Camino, you are going to be shipped back home and your insurance company will take care of it all. I don't know about you, but I would rather be recovering at home in a hospital where my friends and relatives can visit than in a foreign land where I don't really speak the language. Medication. It is never too soon to discuss your medical needs with your doctor. You need to ensure, of course, that you've got sufficient medication to take with you to cover the period that you're going to be away. If you're carrying quite a bit, then I would suggest that you get a letter or at the very least a prescription from your doctor to cover those meds. It's exceptionally unlikely you're going to be stopped and questioned, but should that happen, you want to make sure that you're covered. And obviously you don't want to run out of any important meds while you're away. Number 7, credit cards and cash. ensure that you've got enough cash with you to cover the first day or two, 200 to 300, and then just take it through from there. Credit cards are increasingly used on Camino. It is no longer the cash society that it used to be even just 3 or 4 years ago. Thank COVID for that. As far as that sort of side of things is concerned, do make sure that if you're coming from the States, for example, that you advise your bank that you're going. Look, I've covered a lot of this in my credit card and cash videos, but just make sure that you've got something that's suitable. I strongly encourage you to carry a travel debit card as well. Why? Because you want at least 2 cards. Whether it's 2 credit cards or a travel debit card and a credit card, it doesn't really matter. You carry them separately. That way you're covered should your bank refuse one. It's logical really, isn't it? Number 8, last but not least, communication. Do you need to use or carry a smartphone on Camino? Absolutely not. You can survive very well without it. I would strongly encourage you to carry at least a small phone so that, worst case, you can reach out to the emergency services should you need to. The number for that is 112. That aside, I would encourage you to carry a smartphone. Why? Because like with so many other things in our life, there are so many apps available that are very useful to us on Camino. There are various apps that cover maps, for example, accommodation, booking, communication with each other, communication with the albergues for that matter. WhatsApp is the one I'm talking about in that particular instance. Very commonly used over here. I'm not sure where you're coming from. You may already be familiar with it. If you are, you know that if you're online, it's free. It means you can video call with friends and family back home whilst you're connected to Wi-Fi somewhere. Or if you've got a package that covers sufficient data, use that. As far as the data and so on is concerned, there's a couple of options available to you logically. One is an eSIM, and the second one is buying a SIM card in the country that you're arriving in. On that side of things, Orange and Vodafone seem to be the 2 most common. I'm not an expert on them because I'm based here in Europe and my SIM covers me Europe-wide. It is a European SIM. So on that sort of side of things, look at those options for you. Either get an eSIM from your country of origin. I can't cover them all because they vary from country to country. Or look at picking one up upon arrival or the day afterwards. All right, everybody, that's it. If this has been helpful, please like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, buen camino.